Hello, everyone, and welcome back to The Rundown, where we talk about 2A news and conservative views. I will be your host today, Craig DeLuz, coming at you from the West Coast, the left coast, behind the Iron Curtain, otherwise known as the Sierras. And, today is Taco Tuesday.
It's raining tacos from out of the sky. Tacos, no need to ask why. Just open your mouth and close your eyes. It's raining tacos. It's raining tacos out in the street. Tacos, all you can eat. Lettuce and shells, cheese and meat. It's raining tacos. Yum, 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 yummity yum. It's like a dream.
That's right, folks. Today's Taco Tuesday. We very much appreciate you tuning in. We appreciate you telling your friends about The Rundown. This is the place where we talk about 2A news and conservative views. We're going to have a good time here today. It's going to be us. So unfortunately, Mike, this is his day. He does Civil Air Patrol. So unfortunately, he will not be joining us today. But we're going to have a good time because you're going to comment. You're going to tell us what you think. If you're watching the program live, and that's basically every weekday, Monday through Friday, right? 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern. If you're watching us live right now, well, guess what? Now's the time for you to go ahead and comment. Let us know what you think. Let us know what you think about the stories. If there's something that you want to talk about, maybe if we got enough time, we'll throw it on in. Let us know what you think about what we're talking about. But just go ahead, however you watch us. If you're watching us on YouTube, or you're watching us on Facebook, if you're watching us on Rumble, go ahead and comment live, and we will share your comments on the program. But before we get into sharing any comments or anything like that, well, the first thing we have to do, obviously, is, we got to pay the bills. And that starts with talking about our sponsors. That's right. First of all, we're going to start off with Hitman Industries. If you are looking to do a rebuild on your current rifle, or rebarrel your current rifle, or maybe you're just looking to do a brand new build, you're going to need a barrel, right? Well, why not go to the place that specializes in both long gun and pistol caliber barrels for you. Just go there, check them out today. They've got everything that you need. Just go to hitmanindustries.net. That's hitmanindustries.net. They even have Glock barrels available for you. So go there, check them out today. And if you are a first responder and you've never purchased from them before, well, guess what? You will get a discount. So check them out today. Then we've got the California Republican Assembly working to help elect conservatives at all level of government. Ronald Reagan once referred to CRA as the conscience of the Republican Party. Go to cragop.org. That's cragop.org and check them out. If you want to be a part of California's future today, join CRA. And then if you're looking for a holster, I can't think of any better place for you to go than Hog Holsters. That's HAWG holsters.com, helping Americans wear guns. They have the best in tactical and concealed carry holsters available on the market. Just make sure when you go there, make sure you use the discount code The Rundown, all caps, no spaces, one word, and get your Hog holster today at a discount. And then you've also got tactical gear. If you're looking for tactical gear, once again, the best place to go is uscombatgear.com. They have great selection. They have fast shipping and great prices. And veteran owned and operated. That's uscombatgear.com. All right. One of the things that we talk a lot about has to do with this area in the criminal justice system. And, a lot of times things that go on are blamed on, how do I want to say this? People oftentimes refuse to accept the fact that their policies are the problem. Well, apparently in the state of Oregon, they have come to recognize that their policies were in fact the problem. And so they've sought to rectify that. And so now in the state of Oregon, they have actually recriminalized the possession of illicit drugs. This being reported by the USA Today. Oregon governor signs bill reintroducing criminal penalties for drug possession. What to know? It says Oregon Governor Tina Kotek signed a bill into law that recriminalizes the possession of small amounts of drugs on Monday. House Bill 4002 ends the first in the nation drug decriminalization law that was enacted 3 years ago. The new measure will go into effect this fall, the Statesman Journal, part of the USA Today network, reported. starting September 1. Class E violations created by Measure 110, which eliminated criminal penalties for possession of small amounts of illicit drugs, will be repealed under the new law. Instead, a person with small amounts of illicit drugs will now face drug enforcement misdemeanor, decriminalization, a groundbreaking law that was scrapped in Oregon. What does it mean for decriminalization? I'm not going to get into what does it mean. What it means is now you have to basically pay a penalty. And here's the real thing. When they decriminalized the law, here's what happened. When you would then go before a judge, when it was a crime, or as it is now, the judge now has an option. They can either sentence you to jail, fine jail. In other words, you can now be penalized, or you can go to a drug diversion program. Well, when they decriminalized it, they had no option. So in other words, if you were using illicit drugs in public, if you were in possession of illicit drugs in public, especially if you were in need of serious drug rehab, there was no alternative. The judge didn't have any other option. The court didn't have any other option but to let you go. But that's what happens when there are no consequences. When there's no consequences for bad actions, right? When you don't have, it does no good to offer a carrot if you're not going to also offer the stick. In other words, look, we'll give you an opportunity to get it right. But if you're not going to get it right, you're going to pay the price, right? That is what this new law has done. It has now put them back in place. And once again, you have to give the lawmakers there. Let me clarify. I would love to say that you need to give them credit. But I don't know how many of them actually admitted that they were responsible for supporting policies, for putting policies in place that actually caused this. I sincerely doubt that they took ownership of their role in what caused this to happen. I would love to believe that they did. I would love to have that sort of faith in politicians, but I don't. But ultimately, we have to be able to be willing to be recognized when mistakes are made. And that's what happened here. I am sincerely hoping that other states, other municipalities, other locales will look at this and say, you know what? We were thinking about decriminalizing drugs, but now we're not going to do it. Now, the problem with that is this. Those on the left, many of those on the left, in particular those on the far progressive left, believe that these policies are going to work. They just don't believe that other people are smart enough or as smart as them when it comes to implementing them. Meaning, they believe that, well, while Oregon didn't get it right, they believe that they can get it right. And I cannot even begin to tell you how dangerous an idea and a concept that is, because when one is never in a position where they can ever admit that they're wrong, then they're never going to be able to fix things. And that, my friends, is scary. Never being in a position where you are able to fix things. And I'm the type of person where I'm like, look, I will admit to you when I'm wrong, but I'm not just going to tell you I'm wrong just because you want me to tell you I'm wrong. Just because you believe I'm wrong, you've got to make the argument. You've got to put the facts out there. You got to make things clear. And by the way, what happened in Oregon is exactly what conservatives told them would happen. It's exactly what law enforcement told them would happen. And they ignored them. They ignored the argument. But now they have the benefit of hindsight. Now they've seen what happens. They've seen the consequences. They have seen the light. And so now they're like, yeah, no, we ain't having this. We're not having this. Once again, I don't know if they're admitting that they were wrong, but at the very least, they are changing their policies. And that is a good sign. Because, Oregon has been heading crazy left for a long time. Oregon, which, by the way, those of you who have ever been to Oregon know, it has actually historically has a very libertarian streak to it. I wouldn't call it conservative, although there are plenty of conservatives there, but it's more libertarian. And it really, once you get outside of Portland, it's really still kind of like that. But Portland and the metropolitan or the suburbs of Portland have gotten so liberal that they've taken a heavy push to the left, and that's largely thanks to the Californication of much of Oregon. Y'all know I talk about that all the time, about people moving out of California and going to other states. I will always wonder about that. In fact, you know what? I think I just did a piece. I just did an article on California's minimum wage. I think the next one I will do is on the Californication of other states. That's what I'm going to do, folks. Hopefully, wake up the rest of America. So anyway, that'll be my next commentary. Will be once again the Californication of other states. But anyway, it's all bad. So in this case, wouldn't surprise me at all, by the way, to see California still try to pass a law decriminalizing drugs because, well, California liberals think they know it so much better than everyone else, which is why so many California laws wind up getting overturned in the courts, which is why so many Californians are leaving California. It's one of the few states that's actually seeing a dramatic decline in residents, in business owners and employers and all of that because, well, California policymakers think they're so much smarter than the rest of the world. Yeah. Anyway. All right. Moving right along, migrants who rioted at the southern border are released. You may have heard about this. You may have seen the video of it. So at the southern border, there was basically, for lack of a better term, it was a riot that was held. I won't say a riot, but yeah, no, I think you could say a riot. They basically stormed and basically ran over Border Patrol officers. I'm looking here to see if I can find the video real quick. So you can. Don't ask me why I didn't think about putting this video up before. But riot at southern border. Okay, here it is. Wait, okay, that's a split screen. Do we want to watch the split screen? Here it is, right here. Here, I'll let you guys watch this real quick. This is just a brief segment of the video. This is what happened at the southern border, right? So you see they're standing there, they're all rioting, they're all pushing, and all of a sudden they start pushing their way through, right? Give it a second. And then they just run over them. They just start beating them up, and they just start running over these folks. And now these folks right here who ran up, basically they ran up to the second wall. These folks right here, after assaulting Border Patrol officers, these individuals were released into the country. They were released on their own recognizance. Hold on, I'm trying to find it here. That's not it. Here we go. Bam. This is the story right here. So in essence, a judge released migrants who overwhelmed Texas National Guard in a border stampede. It says here an El Paso judge on Sunday ordered Texas authorities to release some of the illegal immigrants accused of rushing the southern border and overwhelming the state's National Guard troops last month. It is the ruling of this court that all of the rioting participation cases will be released on their own recognizance. Magistrate Judge Umberto Acosta said at a virtual hearing on Sunday, according to the El Paso Times. Border Patrol officers on March 21st arrested hundreds of migrants, mostly adult men from Venezuela, who rioted and rushed the border near the Rio Grande. Some were charged with assault and criminal mischief after allegedly ripping down razor wire and knocking over members of the Texas National Guard. Acosta justified his decision to release some of the rioting migrants by noting the El Paso District Attorney's Office is not yet ready to proceed with detention hearing for each arrestee. So if the DA's office is telling me that they are not ready to go, what we're going to do is we're going to release all of these individuals on their own recognizance, the judge said. So in other words, the DA isn't ready to go. And rather than hold them until the DA is ready to go, he's just not going to do his job. He's just going to release them. And now they're not being released into Mexico. They're being released into the United States. That's right. They're being released, they're being released just like any other migrant who violates our immigration laws and comes in coming to the country. They're just going to bring them on in. Now, how much sense does that make? How much? I don't know about y'all, but that don't make no sense to me. That makes absolutely no sense to me that they would be doing this. Except that, once again, we've become a nation where we have no laws, where we have uh what's oh, we have no consequences for bad actors. And if you have no consequences for bad actors, what you tell people is they can do whatever it is that they want. That's exactly what you're telling them. And the sad part is that they're getting the message, and they're choosing to do whatever it is that they want. When you have no, it's kind of funny because there's a old saying that a nation is defined by its language, its culture, and its borders. And the left has been summarily destroying all three over the last decades. But they've literally increased the attack, or the speed of the attack over here in just the last few years. And it ought to be obvious to everyone what's going on by now, but it's not. And I don't know why it's not, but it's not. And that's let's just say it's kind of sad. Anyway, moving right along, we are now at our next story. Gun control push in Colorado goes underreported. And that's because what's happening in a lot of the country is that, gun control laws are being shot down right and left by courts all across the country, largely because they're being ruled unconstitutional. Because guess what? As we have always said, they are unconstitutional. And some municipalities, some places are actually pushing more of these laws, right? Places like California, places like New York. So you expect them. So those are the ones that are being reported on. But then there's Colorado. And Colorado Dems are in the middle of a big push of sweeping gun control laws that are flying under the national radar. And as I said here, much of the public is fed up. It says here, Colorado Democrats are pushing a series of gun control bills that mirror policies in liberal states such as California, but have overwhelmingly flown under the radar in the media, Second Amendment experts say. Quote, this should be making national news as it doesn't just impact Colorado, but the nation as a whole, said Ava Flanell, a firearms instructor in Colorado Springs, told Fox News Digital. Lawyers are using these outrageous bills as blueprints, changing the state names and implementing them across the country at the state level because they don't have votes. Because they don't have the votes to do it nationally. And folks, that's what's going on. And basically, what they're realizing, the worst part about it is that they're implementing laws that are being that are in the process of being struck down. And no one's looking at what's going on there in Colorado. And the reason they're not paying attention, is because they're hoping that by some miracle, the politicians there in Colorado are trying to get reelected. And they're trying to hold on. And they're saying, look, even if these laws wind up getting shot down, then hey, even if they wind up getting shot down, at least we can say we tried. And they don't care if they're constitutional. The fact that they're unconstitutional really doesn't matter to them. Anyway. Okay, where does this take us to next? Okay, you're going to love this one. Okay, you may have heard of the guy Richard Dawkins. Well, Richard Dawkins is a famous atheist, and he has something to say about Christianity. And before I comment on it, I want to give you an opportunity to hear what he has to say, and then we'll comment on the other side.
Well, I must say I was slightly horrified to hear that Ramadan is being promoted instead. I do think that we are culturally a Christian country. I call myself a cultural Christian. I'm not a believer, but there's a distinction between being a believing Christian and being a cultural Christian. And so, I love hymns and Christmas carols, and I sort of feel at home in the Christian ethos. I feel that we are a Christian country in that sense. It's true that statistically the number of people who actually believe in Christianity is going down, and I'm happy with that. But I would not be happy if, for example, we lost all our cathedrals and our beautiful parish churches. So I count myself a cultural Christian. I think it would matter if we certainly if we substituted any alternative religion, that would be truly dreadful.
Well, which brings me to my supplementary point, which is that, as we know, church attendance is plummeting, but the erection of mosques across Europe, I think 6,000 are under construction, and there are many more, are being planned. So do you regard that as a problem? Do you think that matters?
Yes, I do really. I mean, I don't. I have to choose my words carefully. I mean, if I had to choose between Christianity and Islam, I choose Christianity every single time. I mean, it seems to me to be a fundamentally decent religion, in a way that I think Islam is not.
I think you're going to have to explain why you say that, Professor Dawkins. Why is Islam fundamentally not decent like Christianity?
Yes, I mean the way women are treated. I mean, Christianity is not great about that. It's had its problems with female vicars and female bishops and things, but there's an active hostility to women, which is promoted, I think, by the holy books of Islam. I'm not talking about individual Muslims, who of course are quite different, but the doctrines of Islam, the Hadith and the Quran, is fundamentally hostile to women, hostile to gays. And I find that I like to live in a culturally Christian country, although I do not believe a single word of the Christian faith.
See, so now here's the thing. First of all, let's be clear. He talked about the term, he is a cult. There's no such thing as a cultural Christian. All right. There is someone who may, what he recognizes are the benefits of living in a nation ruled by or with predominantly Christian people in it, because our faith teaches us various different things. For example, name one Muslim nation where you can be Jewish and live. If it's an Islamic nation, exactly, you can't, because they're in their religion. There can be only one religion. Christians are overwhelmingly tolerant of people who disagree with them. Although our goal, or although we're taught as Christians to share our faith and help other people to understand our faith, we don't mandate that anybody follow our faith. Becoming a Christian is a choice. Becoming a Muslim in Muslim countries, you either become a Muslim or in the strictest words in many cases under the Muslim faith, and someone is welcome to correct me if I am wrong, but it's convert or die. And that's the way it is in many of these countries, in many Muslim countries. So and that's what he's talking about there, is there are fundamental things that are part of other faiths, or that are part of other faith. In particular, in this case, he's talking about Islam, that are not part of fundamental Christianity. But then also, I mean, Islam aside, the things like tolerance and toleration and moral value, all of these things are fundamental things that are part of the Christian faith that you get the benefit of when you live in a Christian nation. The reason we have what we have here in the West is because of that. When you look at what is taking place right now in Europe, which is basically a colonization of non-Christians there in Europe, and you're starting to see the consequences of it, right? When you start to see the consequences of it, and you start to see in many of these European nations, their economies going under, crime is rampant in the streets, the quality of education. I mean, in every area, socioeconomically and culturally, they are heading in the wrong direction. It's no wonder, because, when we try to take our faith and we try to implement it, or our form of government, the democratic form of government, our democratic republic, a Republican form of democratically elected government. Whenever that's true, we try to push that on, and in particular in the Middle East, we find that it doesn't work because their values are different from ours. Their values largely stemming from their religion, and even if they are not, Muslim, then those nations oftentimes being predominantly Muslim, generally tend to be governed the way in which ways that are in line with their faith. America being a nation that was founded by Christians, not as a Christian nation in the sense of a theocracy, but based on Christian principles and values, there are certain benefits, there are certain consequences that come from that, and we have seen the blessing of that. Some of what we got right from the very beginning, some of them, it took a while. Just like, when someone goes to church and they give their life to the Lord, they don't automatically, get it all together right then. It takes a while to get it going. But you know what? As a nation, we have done that. Now, the problem is, and this is where he's really wrong, is that you don't have those benefits without the religious faith. You know what I'm saying? You have the protection of being under that because you are a part of us. If we don't exist, those benefits don't exist. If Christians don't exist, if religious, Bible-believing Christians don't exist in large numbers, there is no cultural Christianity. Those things are drummed out. They are pushed out and pushed to the side. So Mr. Dawkins, who has spent a better part of his career trying to undermine and destroy the impact of the Christian faith and of Christians, it's just interesting. By the way, this is nothing new for him. He's been saying this all along, but what he doesn't understand is he wants all the benefits, but he doesn't want the thing that creates the benefits. It's like saying, I want the golden egg, but I don't want the golden goose. Guess what? Without no golden goose, there is no golden egg, bruh. It just doesn't work like that. So, I appreciate what you I know you probably intend to be or hope are kind words, but the reality is that our society works because it is fundamentally Christian, because we are fundamentally people of the Christian faith. And as we get further away from that, as Europe has gotten further away from that, you see what's happening now in Europe. As we are getting further away from that, you see what's happening here in the United States, right? I hate to say it, but if you want that stuff, if you want it back, well, then we probably need to get back to Jesus. Just an idea. All right, folks. Well, hey, that brings us to our parting shots. Parting shots are brought to you by Hog Holsters. Just go to hogholsters.com. Use the discount code, The Rundown, all caps, no spaces. Get your Hog Holster today. I wanted to share this first video with you. Stephen A. Smith is not a guy. He's a loudmouth. I'll just be honest with you. He does mostly commentary on sports, but he does do some cultural and political commentary. What I will say is that he is definitely prone to say what he thinks and what he believes. He is not a conservative. Although he has been known to say some things that conservatives might agree with from time to time. But there's one here that I think that this is more of a, warning shot to his fellow liberals than it is a call out to or support of conservatism. So I wanted to share it with y'all and get your perspective on it.
Donald Trump made a very salient point. I know you don't hear me say that often, but it's true. He made a very salient point a couple of weeks ago, or I think it was in the immediate aftermath of Super Tuesday, when he was talking about President Biden, and he was saying, come beat me. Stop trying to use the legal system in order to pull it off. Now, obviously, President Biden would say it has nothing to do with me. He's the president of the United States. He's not the prosecution in Georgia. He's not the prosecutor in New York. Okay, he has nothing to do with those things. So he may say, maybe it's true. But I find it very, the Democratic side is innocent. I mean, when you look at the inordinate amount of charges that are coming Trump's way, I mean, when is enough's enough? Ladies and gentlemen, there's so much to get into. I'm not going to do it. I'm going to simply say this. Trump is kicking the Democrats, you know what. And we're still waiting for him to go to jail. We're still waiting for him because supposedly he's done so much. Russian collusion, remember all of that? We're still waiting for the guilty verdict. We're still waiting for him to be incarcerated. We're still waiting for him to be seen in zebra stripes. You can't touch him. And now he's throwing this salvo. He said, yo, why don't you come beat me? Stop engaging in lawfare and using the legal system to push your political agenda. Come beat me. That's what he did. I do sports most of the time. That's the kind of language we want to hear, ain't it? Can you beat him or not? You gonna beat him? 4 different polls show that Joe Biden is trailing, that Trump is gaining momentum. You can look at the right and talk about their commitment to Biden's cognitive decline narrative. The fact of the matter is, in half of America's eyes, Trump is seen as damn near criminal. And he's still collecting more campaign dollars and more votes. This article is a very profound one. The high price of Democrats' anti-Trump lawfare. Because when the legal system is utilized this way and people see you getting away with trying to cause all of this ruckus towards him as opposed to simply beating him at the polls, that gives them additional fodder to question the legal system. And once they do that, it gives them a significant license to be lawless and to engage in lawlessness, which will explain some of the mayhem and the nonsense we've been seeing in the streets of America that would have never been tolerated, even as late and as recently as Barack Obama being in office or George W. Bush.
So he's pointing out some very, 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 very serious stuff. And I appreciate that he went out of his way to really just kind of point that out, because what he said was what fair-minded people are looking at. They're like, look, things ain't going well right now. But even, I mean, come on, 91 felony charges. And for some reason, all 91 of those felony charges got to come up for trial during a year in which he's running for president. There's coincidences, and then there's this. And I think a lot of people realize, and there are a lot of people who don't want to recognize it, who don't want to realize it, that do. And I appreciate that Stephen A. Smith actually is willing to own and willing to recognize it. I mean, just the other day, or just yesterday, you had a judge basically say, well, you know what, we're going to shut you down. We're going to extend the gag order to say you can't talk about, you know, the relationships. You can't talk about the judge or the fact that the judge's daughter is a big-time Democrat operative working for Democrat organizations, yada, yada, yada. In fact, according to the Babylon Bee, judge orders Trump to stop noticing that the people trying to put him in jail are Democrats. Ain't that something? Funny how that works, huh? Real funny how that works. Oh, by the way, and on a different note, the Scottish Parliament actually just passed a very we would call it anti-First Amendment, because they're not, they don't have a First Amendment. But it's really an anti-free speech law, in that they made it so that if you speak out against transgenderism, that's now a crime punishable by jail time. So according to the Babylon Bee, it says here, Scottish Parliament declares William Wallace was a woman after learning he wore a skirt. Okay, it's not a skirt, it's a kilt. For those of y'all who don't know, it's called a kilt. And then finally, talking about Joe Biden, getting back to Joe Biden, thought this would be worth sharing. Someone share this. Joe Biden's America, where the wealthiest 1% set a record with $1 trillion total net worth. Now, I'm not against the wealthy, right? By the way, you notice there on this little graph there at the bottom. Notice how much richer the wealthier have gotten, while at the same time, average household income has gone negative during his administration, while prices have gone through the roof. All this, once again, under Joe Biden's watch. Yet, he's real quick to claim credit for the good economy, but the reality is, for whom is the economy good? And clearly, it's not good for everybody. All right, folks, well, that brings us to our time to part ways. But before we do, I want to give a quick shout out to our sponsors. If you're looking for rifle or pistol length barrels, go no place else than hitmanindustries.net. If you want to be a part of California's future today, join the California Republican Assembly, or join CRA. Go to Hog Holsters, use the discount code The Rundown, all caps, no spaces. Get your hog holster today. And finally, get all of your tactical gear, everything but the gun, at uscombatgear.com. And with that, we're going to call it a day. We will be back tomorrow. Tomorrow being hump day. Till then, you guys enjoy, you take care, and we will see you mañana.